What's popping, social? It's Jalan. Coming back with another quick video. Got some time in the car right now. Thought I would do a quick video reflecting on some interesting stuff that happened this past weekend when I was out on a hike up in Dog Mountain. Went with a couple youngings, young grasshoppers. I'm really proud of them and the fact that they made it to the top. I'm sure that I sure hope that they enjoy the journey, and nonetheless, I loved it, and I just want to talk about some of the things that I was thinking and thought about when I was on the trail. Right? I think to give a little background story, I think most people will know that I started hiking about a year or two ago, a lot. Primarily because I wanted to disconnect with technology and work and the stress that was building up from work and being in front of a computer all the time, and as a way for me to get some time by myself and reflect. So that's what I started doing, and then throughout that process I fell in love with it. I started going pretty much every weekend, and that's when I learned a lot. That summer was probably the biggest transition of my life. Really proud of the progress I've made in that summer. And to just get back to the topic, we went on a hike this past Sunday. It was about a 4 or 5 hour hike, about 3,000 elevation. It was kind of on the difficult side. Nonetheless, I loved it. And one of the things I really want to experiment was the idea of technology, right? So before I was going, I would have my phone on my hand and then go, throughout this whole trail, the whole 4 or 5 hours, because I didn't want to get lost. I had a map knowing where I was, and was constantly taking pictures and videos and things like that. This time, what I did that was different is that I left my phone in my backpack and was on silent. And the challenge that I had, that I wanted to take on, was to not reach for it for the entire 4 to 5 hours, over the duration of the hike. Because one, I knew that the other guys were gonna keep track of where we are, and I kind of knew the trail a little bit, so I'm not too worried about that. So I just wanted to see how I would react to such experiment. What kind of feelings and emotions that would get triggered for not being in contact with this device for such long period of time, and just to learn a little bit about myself a little bit more, and what's really important. I know that technology is important, and we can't live without this device, for God's sakes, right? I just want to see how I would react, and quite honestly, I didn't feel compelled to reach for it that much. Well, there were a couple times where I saw others were reaching out and searching for the maps and taking selfies or Snapchat and social whatever pics, right? And there was a thought that came to my mind, when I saw others were doing that, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I knew that I wanted to try this. I wanted to see how I would react, like I said, and how what kind of emotional feelings and things of that nature will get triggered. And to summarize that, I'm almost really glad that I did that. I didn't feel that it was that important, and at the same time, I felt that I had more time. I was less distracted from this device to be, and I have more time to connect and reflect when I was on the trail, which was very, very very phenomenal. I love that part because that is where the best connection is, where you're just not connected with this chaotic things that are happening in the cities. So really love that aspect, and I learned a little bit about myself, that I can be disciplined enough to not reach for this thing. At the same time, it gave me a lot more time to think about what I wanted to reflect on, which is where I'm at, the state of my life, and see where I want to head to. Carry on to the topic of hiking. I knew that prior to the hike, I knew that I was going to struggle, right? I knew I was going to get cramped up, and it did, right? It did happen. As a matter of fact, both of my calves cramped up and my right thigh cramped up. About 2/3 of the way there. Now this was about a 3,000 feet climb, and so in the 2/3 of the way there was like the second to the last checkpoint, lookout. I started cramping up. Holy crap! I was devastated because there was 1/3. We were 1/3 of the way to the top. About a third of the way there left to do, and the last third is the most difficult part. It was about 50 degrees or 50 plus degrees incline, and what I would do is I would try to massage it a little bit and try to make it through up to the hills and up to the inclines. But every time, every few steps, I just started cramping up again. But in the back of my mind, I knew that I wanted to make it to the top. It was very important, because I knew that, not because of the views, right? Well, partly, but I wanted to achieve something that I've set out to do, which was make it up to the top. And I encouraged the guys too over the course of the hike, is that I know you're gonna be tired. I know you want to feel pain. You want to be out of breath, but I'm gonna get you to the top. I'm gonna lead you guys to the top. We're not giving up, right? And over the course of that, thankfully we did make it up, and the guys had a lot of fun, which is very important. To have fun. I think one of the biggest things that I also learned when throughout this trip is the idea of the amount of time that we spent, the time aspect ratio, right? It was about 4 to 5 hours hikes, 4 to 5 hour hike. We spent about 95% of the time on the trail. We spent about 20 minutes on the top, maybe less. So that really got me thinking of the fact that if we spend so much time on the trail compared to the time that we spent enjoying the view, which aspect should I love more? Is it the views, or is it the journey of getting up there? And the journey includes the cramps and the blisters and all the stuff that you get with the journey, right? With the climb. So that's why I started asking myself, do I love that more, or do I just love the top, the view, and get to the top so that you can take some pictures and put it on Instagram or Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, be an influencer, which is everybody wants to do nowadays. That got me questioning on what I wanted and what I liked most. And it turns out that we spent so much time climbing up that I feel like I should enjoy that portion of it more, right? Just like the analogies that I would use with that is just like any sports, right? I'll probably use basketball because that's my sport and what I played. Is that we see so many teams that their goal is to win a championship, but then once they win the championship, then it only lasts for a short period of time, You know, I think the teams, when they're doing their parades and the celebrations, that they, you know, that most teams talks about, when every player talks about that they want to win it again next year, right? But yet they're like, the celebration is done. Like 5% of their time of the reward is done, and they're looking forward to winning again next year. And what that entails is that the process of, you know, fighting through 82 games, the process of working out, and you know, losing players, injuries, and the battle scars that you get throughout the season. I think players or any professional athlete are looking forward to that a lot more than winning. Now, don't grant, you know, everybody wants to win, right? Winning is important, but I think another analogy that I would use is that Vince Carter. Vince Carter is probably 41, in early 40s. He was a beast early on in his career. I don't think he ever won a championship. He won everything else, but the dude is 40 something and he's still playing. It got me questioning why. Why does he do that? He must, you know, he's not on the best teams nowadays, and then his chance of winning a championship is probably very slim unless he joins an elite team. But I think the fact that he's still playing says that he loves the game and the process more than the trophy, right? And and the championships. Now, don't get me granted that, you know, everybody wants to win. You know, it's still a goal of theirs and an objective of theirs. So that's just an interesting comparison that I found. You know, drawing from you know, sports to this quick hike that I did on this past weekend, and it got me reflecting on certain things about what I should love more. So anyway, that's pretty much all I want to talk about. I'm looking forward to going out back on the trail very soon. Actually might go on the trails if it rains. I find that there are less people when it rains, right? Only the hardcore people, the people who are really into it, the people who love it, will go during the rainstorms or rain season and all the obstacles, right? When it rains in your parade, that they'll go because they love it so much. So I think I might start doing that a lot more because it's less congested, you know, and then I find that I get a lot more out of it when there are less distraction. So that's just an interesting observation that I've made and that's just what works best for me. Some people might think that it's very unsafe, but I think the rewards I get from that outweighs anything. And if we constantly live in fear about what could get wrong, that we will never get to do anything. You might as well stay at home 24/7 for the rest of your life, you know. So that's what I've been doing. And if anyone like knows any awesome hikes, suggestions, I'd love to hear about them, especially difficult ones. I love difficult ones. I love the ones that requires me to go beyond myself, to push through, and in a way that it will help me prepare myself a lot better mentally as well as physically. So that's what I want to talk about today. Interesting observation that I've learned in some of the things that I've experienced over this past weekend. So I'm looking forward to sharing more. And if I see anyone out there on the trail, I'd love to say hi to you guys. So with that being said, hope everybody had an awesome day, and go and have a wonderful night or time, whatever morning, afternoon it is, and go out there and be the best version of yourself. So go out there and be great. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.